We're excited to welcome to the stage their Chief Technology Officer, who is going to come up and have a great 10-minute interview with another great partner of ours, Revel, to just learn about how their technology centric approach at Dave's Hot Chicken has allowed that growth. So with that, I'm excited to welcome to the stage Leon Davoyan, the Chief Technology Officer from Dave's Hot Chicken, and Chris Lybeer, Chief Strategist and Marketing Officer from Revel Systems. Leon and Chris, please come on up and join us.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, hey.
We have the after lunch session where everybody's a little sleepy. So
It's a bite-sized session.
Yeah, and it's a bite-sized session. So we're going to go quick, high energy here. If we talk too fast, we apologize. So I'm with Revel. If you haven't heard of Revel, the two-liner on us, we're a modern cloud-based platform servicing really the chain and enterprise market. And we have a lot of fast-growing, innovative brands like Heart House and PDQ and Another Broken Egg and Pizza Ranch and Focus Brands and Bricks, and I could go on. But probably our hottest growing brand, actually I think officially our hottest growing brand, and our hottest maybe food is Dave's Hot Chicken.
Nice.
And we are on a tear with them. Why don't you give people just a couple of numbers on the growth at Dave's in the last couple of years?
Oh man, we've been open for 6 years, but we're at 117. We're at 117 last week. We'll be at 118 this week. We opened 70 last year, and we're probably going to open another 70 this year. So it's just hyper growth. I'm tired. I need a nap. Let's take a nap after
You
this.
better not take a nap because I think you have 700 in the pipeline.
We do.
So,
we
yeah,
do.
No napping. You don't have time. Listen, we're, as a company that's doing a lot of chain rollouts right now, we've got 5 or 6 100+ site chains in rollout right now. You guys, I can say firsthand, do an exceptional job of, opening multiple sites a week, but really kind of having good control of the situation. So kudos to you. And tell this crowd who, is obviously here to talk about technology, if they are in the situation where they're doing a rollout, whether it's new sites or, a rip and replace rollout, what are a couple of your favorite tips that you would share for others about how to make that go more smooth instead of less smooth?
Yeah. Well, first of all, hire a really good team. And so once you got your good team hired, you have to have a...
But you can't hire anybody from his team.
No,
so
yeah. My team's already taken, okay? So I'll help you find some others. But you have to have a really good plan, right? And you hear that all the time, and project managers plan projects in different ways. But the importance to the success is that you have to just really look at your timelines and then bake in a bunch of buffer times within those timelines. Because when project managers look at a project, they just look at the tasks that you have to complete and and the dependencies. But what they don't factor in is that buffer time, because people are busy, right? So it might take them 2 days to get a job done that takes 10 minutes, right? So you have to bake in those buffer times and things like that. And you really have to know your product. You have to know your product very well so that you know what you're rolling out and give it plenty of time for testing and QA, right? And just, I spend most of my project time really QAing the thing, understanding the product, understanding where the gotchas are and where the weirdness is, so that when I'm rolling it out, I plan to communicate that ahead of time so that my customers, my internal customers, know exactly what to expect from the product.
Yeah. You've mentioned this buffer thing a couple of times to me in the last month or two, and I can assure you that most people do not do it that way. And one of the things, I think it's one thing, right, when you are trying to get something done, right, you want to set kind of an aggressive date and go for it, and you don't put all that much contingency space in. I think that works for some types of projects. I think the reason it doesn't work for a rollout is because there are so many logistics involved, hardware having to get to the site, people having to get to the site, training having to be done, networks having to be set up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you set the schedule up too tight and you miss one of those things and you have to push the schedule back, then and by the way, you push that schedule back and probably some of those people had to be at a site 3 days later.
Right.
You now have to replan everything, and you're in this constant, sort of chaotic mode of redoing your game plan. So I think that's brilliant, and I think it's mature to say, let's over buffer this rather than under buffer it,
Right.
because the temptation is to be, well, we're going to be amazing here, let's go fast, and that's not always the smartest thing to do.
Well, right. I mean, even with the buffers, sometimes folks just don't get their stuff done on time, but at least it allows you to have that conversation ahead of time and push that date ahead of time instead of pushing it a week in advance. You could do that 5-6 weeks prior to the launch date. So those are some things that we do at Dave's that allow us to hit every single date.
Yeah.
It's because by the time that date approaches, we're way ready, way done with everything we need to do. It's just a matter of turning things on.
Yep. You also have told me recently about how you approached really sort of making sure the foundation was in place first. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're growing, you need to have things in place, and you don't have the option of replatforming, right? We have a very small team, and I'd much rather spend my time rolling out new technology and innovating than having to replace an antiquated loyalty system or whatever, right? So when we make decisions for the future, right? I look at the bells and whistles I need today, and I kind of predict where, no one can predict where the industry's going, but you can predict where technology is going, and you really have to qualify that new vendor based off of what you think you're going to need. And obviously, open APIs and things like that play a large role, right? Because the product is most likely not going to evolve as fast as you are, as fast as you want to innovate, but at least you can then bring in another vendor and latch on to whatever you have pre-existing.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And listen, I think, this is strictly an opinion. I think everybody feels, and I've heard the talk track from a lot of folks, that the pandemic sped up the adoption of technology in this industry. It did.
It did.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think ultimately that will be healthy for us. But I think what you can't make the mistake of thinking is that, we just had this rush and we've caught up. This is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we are headed towards automated kitchens and AI and voice and on and on. And now I actually think the pace is going to speed up, and it's going to be necessary to compete in the business. So you have got to create a great function, that in your business, like Leon leads, to continue to do this. You're rolling out now, but then you're going to have to be able to cut in, another cool thing and another necessary thing and another capability. And I know just even, if you go back 10-ish years in this industry, any project like that, people would plan those, and they'd be 1-2 year projects. So we got to put in, some new drive-through technology or whatever. We don't have that much time, folks. That's not going to be the world we're living in. So you have got to get good at this planning. You've got to get a technology platform in place that it's going to allow you to put other things into it. And you've got to get used to this cadence. Again, congratulations to you guys for doing a good job with that. It's also super important, and I've heard you and seen you in action on this point. How do you get all that, we're talking, you have a small tech team.
Very small.
It's the rest of the company that's ingesting this. It's operators, it's other corporate functions, it's, your numbers people. What are you doing so that they're not ripping their hair out with the pace of change?
Yeah, I mean, well, it has a lot to do with partnership, right? Partnership with your stakeholders. IT people specifically have this culture of, let me just find something that's cool to me and roll it out that doesn't make sense to the rest of the organization. So the way we look at technology is that we find something cool and then we think like business people, right? And then we qualify that product against, does our business need it? And if it does, then we bring in our stakeholders, all of the stakeholders, and we say, here's an opportunity that we have Does it make sense for us, right? That's whatever the technology is going to cost something, right? So then you start thinking about, is this going to make things more efficient for the customer? Because that's got value. Or is it going to make the kitchen or the operations more efficient? Because that's got value too. So we approach technology from a business standpoint. So we're business people first and technologists seconds. And plus technology is getting so easy that anyone can do it now. Yeah, I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah, the user side of it, putting it all together, that can be more challenging. But it's easier than it's ever been, for sure.
That's true. That's
for
true.
Sure.
Cloud technology helps it. Trust me. We have zero on-prem infrastructure, and that's how we're able to move very fast, because I don't have to worry about putting in a server in the back, patching it, worry about the security of it. No, my vendors worry about that. I just have to worry about rotating passwords and making sure passwords are complex, and then I'm good.
Yeah. Well, keep it up. You got a long journey to go. Others will be looking at you as an example of, I think how to do this right in the industry. And thanks for your time sharing a few of the tips today. Appreciate it.